We are truly off the beaten track. People say off the beaten track. Well, the drive to get to this farmhouse, this farm that we're on, is a mile long, and it's bumpy and it's rutted. We're in rural Wales. This is pickup truck and Land Rover territory. But yet we are coming to see a barn, a real barn, which has a hot hatch in it. One of the pinnacles of hot hatchdom. No, it's not a broken Renault Clio, because that isn't special. But what is special is a different type of Renault, an 80s Renault. A Renault 5 GT Turbo. Not modified. We think has been in here for cracking on for 20 years. And today it's coming out, and there could be a chance that it will actually run. And that's why I've come here pronto to witness this happening and hopefully help out. So this is a true barn find episode of The Late Break Show. I'm Jonny Smith. This is great. We're in the middle of nowhere, really off the beaten track, aren't we?
Yep, we certainly
In fact, your drive to get here is quite long.
It's 3/4 of a mile.
Is that how long it is?
Yeah.
How does that end up here? What's the backstory? Because you're the previous owner of the car.
The first owner, the person who bought it from you, bought it in London.
Yeah.
Was a priest, or a trainee priest, I should say.
A trainee priest.
Yeah. And when he, I don't know what you do, but when he graduated from priest school,
Yeah.
he was sent out to the diocese in Oxfordshire.
Okay.
And he thought, rural priest, Renault 5 GT Turbo, not really the right look.
It's an unusual look.
It is very, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he went for something safe. He sold that. I'd just left university, and I thought, oh yeah, my MGB's just about done. 5 GT Turbo, thank you.
Yeah.
Just about managed to get the insurance.
And what year was that?
Oh gosh, 1980 something. I can't remember. End of the 80s.
Okay, so this wasn't that old.
No, it wasn't that old.
No. So what is it, F-Reg, 87,
Yeah.
88 maybe?
So this must have been 89.
Wow,
It's
okay.
only a little bit old, yeah.
So you've had it a long time.
I've had it a long time.
Okay. Yeah. And what brought you to here? You were in Oxfordshire.
My family came from North Wales. I'd gone down to Oxfordshire with them as a kid.
Yeah.
Went to school, went to uni, wanted to come back, wanted to come home where my roots were.
And so you basically, you're a farmer or a small holding owner.
Small holder, I'd
with
say,
an
yeah.
with an R5 GT Turbo, which
Small.
it's not the normal Renault 5 GT Turbo.
Perhaps not. But yeah, I was a management accountant when I bought it.
Right.
And stopped doing that. Moved here, sheep farming, horses, nature photography.
Yeah.
But then you end up with Land Rovers and farm pickups.
Yeah. So you had those. You had a pickup or something.
So I ended up with farm pickup.
Yeah.
Ended up not driving it. So
Was it reliable though? I mean, has it been good?
it's been fantastic. Clutch cables, wheel bearings. Other than that, for the next owner.
Is that why it got parked up here?
No, it was still going.
It was still
It
going.
was still going fine.
It was just
It was literally, I was doing a couple of 100 miles a year.
right.
Just fun rides, fun drives.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
the insurance and stuff, just to keep doing that, MOT.
Yeah. So you just parked it up in
Just
here.
parked it up, yeah.
And so am I right in thinking? So you were saying before, like your daughter remembers this.
Oh, yes,
when she was a primary school kid.
Yep, she was 7, and she was crazy on it. But she'd also found I had a green and white Kawasaki type motorcycle helmet. So she's like, fast car, have to put on helmet. So I'd drive her up and down the drive in this, and she would be sat in the passenger seat with a motorbike helmet on.
Really?
Having a whale of a time.
Oh.
So originally, yes, the thought was maybe when she's older and she's learnt to drive, maybe do it up again for her.
Yeah.
But we're all into horses and e-bikes, and she's not really into cars anymore.
So it's
time goes on, things change.
Yeah. You probably didn't expect to leave it here for so long.
I didn't.
No.
No, it's been well over a decade and a half, something like that.
Has it really?
Yeah.
I looked up before coming here to film, and they think there's less than 300 roadworthy R5 GT turbos left in Britain, which is astonishing.
That's shocking.
Under 300.
When it's such a fun car.
I know.
Yeah.
So it's time for it to go. You've sold it to the chap who's friends with Sean,
Yes.
who's coming with me to help pull this car out.
Yep.
And thank you for letting us come and film here.
Oh, pleasure.
It's the last car I'd expect to be in the middle of the Welsh mountains, but
it's the right roads for it.
It's the right roads for it, absolutely right.
If there's a road that's right for that, it's B roads, mountain roads.
Yeah.
I mean, I've driven it all over Britain, and 1 month I did 5,000 miles in it.
Did you really?
So a lot of motorway work.
Oh my gosh. It's been sat here for so long, out of view. You've never actively advertised it. The guy that's ended up buying it, his parents lived on this farm.
Yes.
So you bought the farm off them.
And he's buying the car
And
off
he's
me.
buying the car off you. So it's quite a nice little...
It's lovely.
Yeah.
And I'm so looking forward to seeing it on the road again.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll do some digging, and hopefully it won't be that bad.
Be fantastic.
Yeah. But thanks for letting us come and have a rummage.
You're welcome.
See that there? That's Sean Ellis. Sean approached me on the Late Break Show and said, I think I've got a car.
Probably approached you more than once.
You've approached me more than
with
once.
different stuff.
You have?
Stuff that I've found.
Rally stuff.
Yeah.
Allegro stuff.
Allegro. That was where it started.
That was how it started. I was just trying to remember the first time. So Sean actually dug out a hell of a barn find Allegro, but unfortunately he pulled it out before we knew one another. And,
yeah.
But it was a hell of a thing. I'll put a picture on screen of it.
Yeah.
It's an Allegro a keep. Sweet. Very rare.
Very rare.
But this is not that. So you contacted me because you said, I know of what I think to be a proper Survivor turbo.
Yeah, so I sent you just a little picture, didn't I, of the corner of it in a barn, and you could tell it was in a barn somewhere.
Yeah.
So I was contacted by a customer of mine who has bought it, and he asked me to come up and have a look and maybe just see how much recommissioning it needs and potentially give us the work to do it.
Yeah.
First thing I did is walk around the corner and I saw a Renault 5 Turbo, and I just got excited. Even though I knew what I was coming for, I just got, that is exciting, isn't it? That's an exciting image, that, isn't it?
It is exciting. What do you think the chances are of it running? I mean, you've had a look
I had
before.
a look at it before. I think there's been a rat in there. There's been some nibbling going on.
Okay.
So
a rat.
we'll have a look. We'll look round it.
Yeah.
The keys are in it. According to the last owner, it drove in and it was fine at the time. I don't know much about Renault 5 turbos. This is the first one I've really fiddled with. I've not driven one. I've not been close to one, so I'm quite excited to have.
But you're a mechanic.
But I'm kind of.
Yeah.
I own a garage.
He owns a garage.
So I suppose I'm a mechanic.
And ultimately, at the end of today, we are taking the car out. The car is going to your...
It's going to the owner who lives not far from here.
We've got to pull these motorbikes out, which I don't think the owner of the barn, I think he's storing these for the people. Yeah. Now, we don't have the keys to these motorbikes. I know that much.
No.
So you've pulled a few things out of sheds and barns.
I've got a problem, the same as you. I'm addicted to...
You've got the disease?
Yeah. I've definitely not been cured. My wife's trying to cure me to stop me doing this.
It's not in gear, is it?
No, it's moving. This is probably the wrong way of doing this, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is the wrong way, yeah. I'm just watching.
She's got a bum out.
Has she? Oh, yeah. We don't do nudity on this show. It's crass. So it's definitely algified. Do you know, it's been such a long time since I've looked at a Renault 5 Turbo. Look at it.
It's cool, isn't it?
It's actually in really good condition. Like
the interior's good.
Yeah, the steering wheel doesn't have a great deal of wear on it either. The gear knob's not that worn. I mean, if you look at the condition of the dash, I don't know what's the mileage? 89,000.
That's low.
325.
Low mileage for...
Look how good the red carpet
is. Yeah.
Underneath these two mats. I think the carpet's really good. I'm looking at the back seat.
See,
there's hair.
There is hair.
There is animal hair. October 2001 was the last time it has a visible tax disc. And that tallies with this, which looks like the most up-to-date MOT certificate, October the 26th, 2001. This is great. Let's have a look around the front. It's hard to believe. At this kind of time, right, you know, that Honda Civic, the Type R that I did a video on fairly recently, 1800 kilo car, 320 horsepower, that's sort of the level of hot hatchery that we're at now. The earlier days of hot hatchery, this thing maxed out at 120 horsepower, but it weighed 850 kilos. It weighed a ton less than a car like a Civic Type R. I mean, it's amazing. These really were lightweight, frisky. That's what made them feel so lively. But it also meant that they didn't last very long.
Yeah.
So
they overheated badly.
There was a level of fragility. And in fact, let's pop the bonnet and we'll have a look, because the weird thing about the engine of the Renault 5 Turbo is the block can be dated back to something like the 50s. And yet back in the early 80s, they thought, oh, well, maybe we could just turbo it and see what happened. And sure enough, that's what happened. They basically started experimenting with sticking a Garrett turbo onto it. I think the carburetor's a Weber carb. But previous to this, of course, there was the old Renault 5 Turbo, the homologation car, the mid-engined, massive, Bertoni designed monster, which was built for rally. And that didn't live that long. That thing had about 160 horsepower. That's now a 100 grand car. Then in '82, they brought out the Renault 5 Gordini Turbo, which is the grandpa to this. And so that's 40 years old now. And that was what, 105 horsepower, 110 horsepower?
Not many of those left.
Not many of those left at all. But this was when it really got popular. 1985, I think these came out. And they lasted till 91.
Because there's a phase 1 of these, and this is a phase 2.
This is a phase 2 because it had body-coloured bumpers and stuff. Yeah. Phase 1 is grey bumpers, grey body
and
kit.
grey along the side plastic bits, wasn't it?
And this got more power because I think they quickly realised that it needed water cooling on the turbo. These things didn't like hot starting.
No.
Anyway, I'll stop talking and have a look. This looks quite unmolested. It
does. Looks like it's all the original stuff. Like, I think that's been replaced with a K&N filter, but instead of swapping it out for a cone, he's put a replacement filter element, which is better.
Yeah.
You know, I think so.
It's got the sticker here and there. In fact, there's a few stickers. Duckham, Slick 50. But things like you were saying, like on this, I think this is the intercooler. It's got a very rudimentary rubber strap, which is pretty common on French cars. That's still there. Look at this flimsy little cover on the battery. I lift that up and the battery is still connected.
And I wonder how many Renault 5 Turbos have still got these little strut top caps, plastics. Because anyone who had a Renault 5 Turbo would have put some Coney adjustables on it or something, and they'd have gone
straight away
in the bin.
Well, all the ducting and all the pipes. I mean, there's a bit of evidence of rodent gnawing that you suspected. We'll put some water.
I wouldn't mind trying to turn it over just so we know it's not seized.
We'll hand turn it.
Yeah, that would be a good start. It's got oil. We're not going to run it long enough to need any water because I don't think there's any water. I mean, there's a bit of water.
We can put some in.
We could put some in, yeah.
And then what I normally would do is if we're getting dash lights and when we put a fresh battery on it, we'll turn it over without the king lead on.
Yeah, just to get fuel would be an issue. If we can hear the fuel pump going, I think fuel pumps were a common problem on them for failing. And if it's been stood like this, chances are it's probably seized. Depends how much fuel's in it. If it's immersed in fuel, it might be all right, but the fuel will be dirty. So it would be good finding the fuel and maybe
the pump. Because we could.
It's a carb.
Yeah. So we could actually try and start it. We could see if.
So it's only going to be a low pressure pump.
Yeah.
Just like a lift pump, isn't it? So. And then you got that we were talking about that.
Yeah.
That was I think they added that on after. So that they call that an anti-percolation fan.
Yeah.
So if you've been running it. If you've been running it for a while, and what was happening, people were pulling up to the petrol station, putting fuel in it, and they couldn't start it because it was evaporating the fuel because the engine bay is so compact, and they got so hot that the fuel was evaporating before it could start, so you were stuck in the petrol station. That was an issue. You wait for it to cool down, then it would fire up.
But you know what? The rot's bad around the windscreen, but beneath that, I was looking at the inner wings, strut tops.
Normally you'd think these bulkheads would rot out because water, if the water ducts are blocked there, they would fill up and rot Some of the Novas, it's similar to a Nova, that bit where it's got this bulkhead and then a gap.
Yeah.
And they'd be this ripping off.
This actually looks pretty solid. I mean, even look at these flanges here, they're very thin. The
Yeah.
gauge of metal that Renault 5s are made from is thin, hence 850 kilo curb weight. But no, this is nice. Can have a look in the back, but I've noticed the Renault 5 Owners Club sticker in the back window. We do know that the only mods that were done, K&N air filter, stainless steel Scorpion.
Scorpion,
it says
it is,
Scorpion.
yeah.
Scorpion exhaust system, nice.
Very of its time.
Very of its time, but no additional body kits. This is not an Ali G car. If you remember the Ali G film, which came out 20 years ago.
Jungle is massive.
Yeah.
Wicked, wicked, jungle is massive. Wicked, wicked, jungle is massive.
We haven't been in here yet.
I haven't been in here yet. Well, the tailgate wants to go up.
Parcel shelf with no 6x9 holes.
An uncut parcel shelf. And that's the alloy that should be on here. So obviously there was a puncture or something and they've replaced. But actually, you know what? This tailgate's not too bad either. There's your
metal as well, are they?
Yeah, Speedline alloys. So here's your, look, that's your spare from Renault.
Oh, look, there we go. That's had a bit of a bang.
Oh, it's...
So that might be the...
That's damaged. I see, that'll be the reason, won't it? Look. Isn't it weird? You look at these, right? 5.5 by 13 speed lines made in France. 13s.
Yeah.
Hot hatches on 13s.
Yeah.
It just seems like an age away.
Yeah.
Just looking under here just to see the condition of the rear valance, and you always look out for stuff like accident damage because let's face it, a lot of them.
There's normally a jack or something in.
There's the bracket for, I think, a jack.
Is it in there? No, it's that with a light cluster, won't it?
That's the rear lights.
Unless they put it in a box in the spare wheel. That was sometimes done, wasn't it?
Could be. But it could be around here. I mean, you've got an Arga behind you.
Yeah.
There is a kitchen sink somewhere over there. I have seen it.
Yeah.
Got a neat aquarium. Bit of 70s crockery. And was that a park?
I found a good video for us to watch later.
What have you got?
Willie the Sparrow.
Willie the Sparrow. What?
We'll fire up the VCR.
An amazing adventure teaches a young boy respect, kindness and the value of knowledge. I agree with all those things. Willie the Sparrow it is. 1989.
Really?
Yeah, 1989.
Not far off.
Yeah, this period perfect. Willie the Sparrow in a GT turbo. We need to put some air in these two tyres, and one of them looks horrifically shredded.
We on? Just do this.
No.
Let's see what happens when I just give it a little
Tickle. Alright, stop! We hit the oven.
Is there a locking wheel nut on there? Should we just pop them off? We'll just try and push, even if I pull a caliper off, we'll just,
Yeah.
It won't take long.
This thing, right, I didn't realise how fast they were. 7.6 seconds, I think, or 7.8 seconds to 60, but 125 mile an hour top speed. Bloody hell. Would you want to do 125 in one of these?
No.
I remember.
Well, yeah, I would. I'd like to drive one.
Would you? Okay, that's pretty good actually.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, like and subscribe to this channel, comment below. Yeah, or else. And you'll see more barn finds. We'll put a link above now for the playlist of all our barn find stuff. Right, we've got the car out. It's great to see the front end in more detail. You can see the front sort of splitters had a bit of bad news on one side.
That stone chipping as well.
Incredible stone chipping on the bumper. But actually, this is the bit we're interested in for now. So what we've just done, well, Sean will...
I'm going to climb under there now.
Yeah.
Turn it over by hand to make sure nothing's seized, like water pump, alternator, engine itself.
Yeah.
It's always good to do that before just ramming a battery on it and cranking it over. We'll do that first.
Very much.
And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, yeah. And then what we might do is might check for a spark. I've just taken the fuel line off the back of the carb. So theoretically, when you turn the ignition on, assuming the fuel pump works, it will try and deliver fuel through to here, but it won't go into the carb. We'll put it into a jar, see if it's murky, make a decision whether we bypass that and just squirt some down the neck of the carb.
So I'll turn this crank here, and then if you can tell me if everything's moving as it should freely, I'll be able to feel it, but it feels good.
Yeah. I mean, the water pump's very furry.
Yeah.
But it is all moving.
You can hear the compression there as well, sucking down.
Yeah. Yeah. So free engine.
That feels really free, that feels good.
We know oil's in it to the max.
Yeah. Water, we have got a chewed pipe, but there is water in the header tank. So maybe we'll just top
I'll just put some water in it.
Not that it's going to run for that long, but just...
Yeah, but just in case you don't want to seize a water pump or anything. So we'll do that. Let's get the battery. We'll see if we get dash lights.
Yeah, that's the next thing, isn't it? And
then we'll see if when you turn it on the second click, you hear a buzzing for the fuel pump. So these are all on, Sean.
They're all on?
Yeah. Yeah, no charge lights on. And I guess if you pull the choke on, will the choke light come on?
Choke works.
Choke does work. It's free, isn't it?
So maybe we only get fuel when it cranks. We could have a seized starter motor.
Yeah.
But there's only one way to find out.
If it just clicks. We don't.
Wow, and we got spark.
Yeah, I heard it.
Did you hear it?
Yeah, I heard it. It was crackling. Okay, should we try turning it over for a few more seconds?
I'll keep an eye out for fuel.
Ready? This is exciting. Well, that's free.
It's free. We got no fuel.
You got some fresh juice.
We've got juice. We've got.
I'll see if I can find an aerosol cap. The ignition seems to work. Fuel pump isn't working, we don't think. But that's not necessarily a problem because we never want to run a barn find up for very long. Just want to run the checks through and see if we get fire and ignition. Normal people would use this to distribute vinegar for their dinner, fish and chips, for example. Yeah. But here and now, it might be perfect to feed a Renault 5 Turbo. Yeah.
French vinegar?
Yes, French vinegar. Right. So I'm going to pour a little bit down its throat.
Do you want me to get some spray?
Do you want to get some spray first of all? And then I've got fuel and spray. Right, I'm going to turn it over. Let's see what happens.
Okay, let me just put my safety glass on.
Yeah, you got your safety glass on. Okay. Oh my word.
That nearly fired.
That nearly fired.
That is just lack of fuel, I think, because we've obviously got spark. Give it a throttle, just a throttle pump, and then away. Bit of throttle, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Ow. Well, it wants to live, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And oil pressure's good. I got an idea.
5.
I got some fuel pipe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't we connect a pipe and a funnel here onto the back of the car?
Yeah, just grab it.
And I just stand there and have a funnel of plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Funnily enough.
You're clever, clever. What's funnel in Welsh?
Tumfat.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Yeah. So is that going to be a type? Oh my gosh, this is made to happen. Right, this is where the fun begins. Ideally, I wouldn't like to hold a gallon over an engine turning, but if I decant it into a small thing, is it going to guzzle that instantly, do you think?
It will guzzle quite a bit. It's a Renault 5 GT Turbo.
GT Turbo, mate. Shall I just fill that and
not going to be fuel economy, is it?
So we've got a car that wants to start and has sort of stumbled and tried. So it's got ignition.
It's got spark.
It's free. It's happy, apart from the fact that we think the electric fuel pump down under is not working. So we'll bypass that, put a fuel pipe on here with a primitive fuel pump system, which is this, and a funnel, and we're going to turn it over and see if it will gurgle.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. That's the water pump.
Oh, she sounds good.
Yeah.
That's the choke out. I love that noise. It sounds mint.
Wow. Wow.
How good does that sound?
I call that a victory.
That sounds good. Does that bring back memories?
Oh yeah. I've just been showered with, you know, that furry water pump housing. Yeah. It just showered me in bits of old aluminium. Yeah, it was aluminium dandruff.
We know that that's a good engine. That sounded mint.
It did sound mint. It's really good. Really good. I'm glad we just sort of like made sure it had oil pressure and everything before we started trying to fire it up.
Yeah, that's what you should do.
Did you enjoy that? I did. Yeah. You did. I did. It was very cool. Fantastic. Very, very cool.
I think we might just take it straight back to my house and we'll tell Steve that he's not having it.
Oh, is that? Oh, it's like that now, is it? Just seen the car strike up for the first time in a long time.
And heard it.
And heard it. How did it feel?
Fantastic, amazing. As, you know, hairs on the back of my neck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You immediately went, God, it sounds just like it did the last time
It did. I mean,
like,
you wouldn't think that 15, 20 years passed.
Yeah.
Little puff of smoke and then there it was.
I know, it was really free. It felt really nice, I have to say. Just goes to show that I think, against all odds, I think it had probably been stored in a way where it sort of survived okay. Fuel pump not really alive, but that's okay. Everything else seemed in good shape. And it's out in the sunshine.
Outside.
Yeah.
Seeing life again.
Yeah. I'm just pleased that you can't, you know, on the one hand, you put it away and you kind of forgot about time. On the other hand, that's possibly what has saved this car. You know, if it had been on these Welsh roads.
With all the winter salt.
Yeah. It would have dissolved, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold a little bit of... Well, I always like to end a barn find with a car that does actually fire up, and the R5 GT Turbo hasn't let us down. It's been really wonderful. I've loved pulling it out. I hope you've enjoyed us getting it going. And rest assured, this is ending with this car going on a new journey, and it is going to see the road again, which always pleases me. If you know of a car that's in a hedge, in a barn, a lean-to, at the bottom of a garden that you think is of interest to me, get in touch, contact@thelatebreakshow.com. If you haven't already subscribed to the show, why not subscribe? Or you could subscribe and become a Patreon, and typically you'll see videos like this earlier because you get preferential treatment.